Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of our Friday favorites. This morning I'm going to talk to you about our Aeropress, or as I like to call it, the lifesaver, and all of my coffee accoutrements. So when you buy the Aeropress, it comes with these four components. The cylinder that the coffee actually goes into, the press that presses the coffee down, the water down through the coffee and into your coffee mug. It comes with these little paper filters. We don't like the paper filters, so we just stuck those aside, and we bought one of these metal filters instead, so we could just keep reusing them. These you throw away, obviously, each time you use one. These you reuse them over and over and over again. We just happen to like these better. But there's nothing necessarily wrong with going with the paper. We just prefer these. So the process is actually very simple. It's made as it comes with to work with coffee already ground. So coffee like this. You pour the coffee. First put the filter into this piece here. You screw this piece to the bottom of your little cylinder. You put this on top of your coffee mug with coffee in it. Boil hot water, which we've already done. Coffee in first, water in second. Then you put your little plunger here on top. And what I like to do is I like to keep it here for 2 or 3 minutes. Just let the coffee brew. The suction of the press will keep the water in the cylinder for really as long as you have this thing in here. And then once you're ready, after 2 or 3 minutes, you simply push this all the way down, and this will force the water through all the coffee grounds and into your coffee mug. So let me go ahead and show you the process. We do it a little bit differently. I like coffee beans as well as the pre-ground coffee. So we bought this little unit. It's from Cafe Tech. This is a way to ground your own coffee without needing any electricity whatsoever, which of course, living in an Airstream, we're going to be boondocking a lot in the future. So I need to be able to do this without using a lot of power. So I just pour the coffee grounds in here, put the top on, put the wheel on, and I simply manually ground an entire cup of coffee beans just like this. Takes about 5 minutes, no sweat. Then I pour the grounds into our cylinder, add water, press down, and I have a perfect cup of coffee every time. So let me show you the process. For this process, I'm going to use coffee beans instead of the pre-ground coffee. This is, I think, Ethiopian coffee from Sprouts, something like that. Just pour this in, and you must drop 3 or 4 on the floor. That's a step that I never get wrong. Every morning, coffee on the floor. Luckily, our dogs don't eat or drink coffee, so that's really not a problem. So I got it probably, well, close to the top, but not to the top. But of course, depending on how rich you like your coffee, you can adjust this as necessary. Put the top on, put your little screw top on, and you just keep doing this until the coffee is completely ground. I know the coffee is just about done when the motion here, you could feel it. It's very, very easy. You're no longer grounding actual coffee beans, so you know it's done. It's just kind of free flowing just through the air now at this point. So take the cap off, take the top off, and now we have fresh ground coffee. So what I did here again is I put the metal filter into this piece, screwed it onto the bottom of the cylinder, and you want this screwed on tight because as you're pressing down, it forces a lot of pressure and a lot of water down through this filter. So if this is not on tight, it'll just fall off and you've ruined your cup of coffee. So make sure it's screwed on tight on top of your mug. Pour the coffee grounds right into it. And we've already boiled some water in our tea kettle. So I just simply pour some water over the grounds. There we go, about to the top. Then take our little plunger here and I just set it right at the top like this. And due to the pressure that this is causing within the cylinder, the water again will stay and the coffee will brew for a couple of minutes. After a couple of minutes, I will press this down and I'll show you that in just, let's say 3 minutes. All right, it's been 3 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and press the water down through the coffee, which should already be brewed. Depending on how much coffee, will depend on how much force you need to apply, but it's usually not a big deal. Then it gets down to about that point, you can hear it hiss a little bit. And then you know the coffee's all the way through. Now, depending on how strong you like your coffee, I like mine pretty strong. I can pick the plunger back up and actually add a little bit more water. I usually don't add another full pot, and sometimes it does that. I usually don't add another full pot of water because then that actually waters the coffee down and it tastes less strong. So you're actually not doing yourself a service that way. Just pour a little bit more water in and press it all the way down. You can let this brew for another couple minutes as well if you like, but for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to plunge it all the way down, and there we go. As you can see, I have a nice full-ish cup of coffee. This is a big mug, so in a regular mug, this would be a pretty full cup. So to clean this, what we usually do is we let the coffee cool off and actually dry out a little bit before we take the bottom piece off. So I usually just stick it in the sink and give it an hour or two and clean it then. But the cleaning is actually very simple. It's designed not to require the use of water. When you take off the bottom, the grounds just fall out. You typically don't want to put them down your sink, especially in an RV. Put them in the trash instead. A couple notes. First, we are not in any way sponsored by Aeropress. We bought the Aeropress ourselves with our own money, and this is my own personal opinion of how I like it. I really do love the Aeropress. Same thing with this Cafe Tech grinder. Not sponsored by Cafe Tech grinder either. We bought this with our own money, and this is my own honest review of my coffee making process without using any electricity at all. And a quick note, the Aeropress is different from a French press in that the Aeropress only makes 1 cup of coffee at a time, whereas the French press you can make 2, 3, 4 cups at a time. The Aeropress will use a little bit less water because it takes less water to clean. So in the end, they do the same function, although the French press, you'll simply make more cups of coffee in any one instance. Courtney, my wife, does not drink coffee, so there really wasn't a need for us to go to the expense and use the water necessary for a French press. The Aeropress works just fine for us. Perfect as always. So thank you for watching another episode of the Friday Favorites. If you like this episode, please like it, subscribe for more, and we will see you next time.